And right now, we're going to turn our attention to a political commentator, a frequent guest of this program, a guy whose insight we like to get a lot on the program, is Michael Reagan. Michael, it's great to have you with us.
Hello.
Oh, thank you very much. Good to be with you.
All right. Well, Michael is in California. A slight delay there, but we'll bear with you, and hopefully you can bear with us. Of course, Michael, the Obama administration is considering refugee status for Hondurans entering this country illegally. Of course, the president meeting with South American heads of state. Mark Krikorian, the executive director for the Center of Immigration Studies, told the New York Times, quote, "It's clearly a bad idea. More people will apply for refugee status if they can just do it from their home countries." What's your take on this idea from the president?
Yeah, I mean, the President of the United States is so off the page on these things. I mean, there's 400,000 children in America taken out of their homes because of neglect and abuse every single year. Don't deal with them. Let's give refugee status to everybody else. He's just asking for more of an invasion coming to our southern borders in this country and what we're going to do with all of these children. I mean, you've got, what, 30,000 families who have already come in and tried to apply, 16,000 children at this point in time. And the president refuses to shut the spigot off. He won't go to the border when invited to go there by Governor Perry. He comes here to California and talks about just idiotic things. I mean, you're talking about, well, the problem is, you see, corporations are leaving the country. There's corporations leaving California every week because of the onerous tax systems we have in the state of California. Not just leaving the country, they're leaving the state of California. So again, he talks about non-issues because he refuses to talk about the real issues that are bothering Americans across this country and around the globe.
So, Michael, a slightly different issue. President Obama was in California last night on his most recent fundraising, and he's courting big donors, but then going up before people to offer up a populist message. Now, Kristen Kokowski, the RNC spokeswoman, said it's pretty clear President Obama doesn't want Americans to see his hypocrisy. He talks a big game about being for Middle America, while his economic policies have hurt Middle America, and his priority has been raising campaign money from wealthy donors. Now, what's your take on this? Is this hypocrisy?
I mean, that's exactly what he's doing. I mean, he was sitting here in California, other than blocking traffic, and talking to his throng of people about income inequality. And you sit there and you go, wait a minute. You have income inequality at the White House. How in the world do you sit there and talk with a straight face to these people? But unfortunately, these people, you know, get all lathered up. And they go, yeah, that's the problem. Income inequality is the problem in America today. Let me tell you, we have a lot more problems than income inequality. But again, that's right. The president comes in, talks to the wealthy donors, who, by the way, have tax shelters every place in the world. I'd like to see where they pay their taxes and if they pay their fair share of taxes. And then he talks, as you say, to the populace and tells them some campaign speech that he pulled out of the mothballs from 2008, 2012.
Well, Michael, I want to talk about the issue of whether or not the president cares what anybody thinks. You know, Charles Krauthammer, of course, weighing in on the president's global standing. Take a listen to what he had to say, and then we can reassess after the sound bites.
There's a general perception the world is going to hell, and the president's out there playing golf. There's a disconnect here. The president is inactive, as he is now on this issue, has done nothing of substance. They say, well, what do you want to do? Go to war? Send troops into Ukraine?
Mike, do you think the president cares? Krauthammer has said as much, that he doesn't care, but what do you think? Do you think he actually cares about what the American population thinks about him now that he doesn't have to run for office again?
I think basically we have the Peter principle. He is way above his pay grade at this point in time. The only real leader in the world we have today is Vladimir Putin. That is what is so unfortunate. And this president doesn't know what in the world to do about Vladimir Putin. And it concerns me. You know, and perception. You're right, the perception is the president's out doing fundraisers. The president's out, you know, playing golf. The perception is he's not engaged, and he isn't engaged. I remember back with TWA flight that was hijacked back in the 1980s, flying all over the world, landed in Beirut, dumped a Navy corpsman onto the tarmac. My father was supposed to come out to California and celebrate Nancy's birthday on July 6th, but he stayed in Washington, D.C., because he wanted to be there to monitor what was going on. He knew he could monitor it from Rancho del Cielo, but the perception would be that he was vacationing. Ronald Reagan understood that should not be the perception of the American people. So he stayed in Washington, D.C., and from that point on, we celebrated Nancy's birthday in August at the ranch and never again celebrated in July.
And to switch gears a little bit again, we want to talk about a piece in the Washington Post authored by the paper's editorial board about President Obama's response to what's going on in the Ukraine. They write in part, frustration with Mr. Obama's weakness now extends to the top ranks of the Democratic Party. Mr. Obama has already missed the opportunity for swift action to stop Mr. Putin's escalation. If he does not act soon, it may be too late to save the Ukraine. Now, what would be your response to that?
Well, I think it is getting to be too late to save the Ukraine. Absolutely correct. The President of the United States has basically given Vladimir Putin what he wants. You have to go back and remember the conversation with the former president of Russia. What did he say, the president, to that president prior to the election? Wait till after the election and I can do more for Vladimir Putin. And basically, he's doing more for Vladimir Putin. Remember, our president, the one that took away missile defense from the Poles, took missile defense away from the Czechs. He's basically left that country naked to defense. And he's allowed Vladimir Putin to do exactly what he's doing. I don't think the president's going to do anything because I really believe this president believes that America is the problem, that Vladimir Putin is the answer to America's problem. That concerns me.
Wait, Michael, expand on that a little bit more and what you mean by Vladimir Putin being the answer to America's problems.
No, I think that he would much like to see Vladimir Putin take over that area of the world so the United States of America could completely be disconnected from the Ukraine, from Poland, from Czech, and I think he honestly believes that those areas of the world belong under the Russian Federation, the reconstitution, if you will, that Vladimir Putin wants, rather than America having an obligation to defend and take care of those areas of the world. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, well, you know, other folks like Pat Buchanan have said that Putin doesn't really want a real expansion. He wants the idea, he wants the Russian people thinking that he wants a new Soviet empire, but he knows deep down he can't really afford to really expand into all of the Ukraine or someplace like Georgia in a more substantive way.
Well, that may be true at this point in time, but they still have a lot of oil and a lot of gas and a lot of things they in fact sell. Remember, they ran the Cold War with fake missiles. These are people who know how to play the game of perception. The perception was that they were stronger than they really were during the Cold War, and they could bring that perception back. And where is Vladimir Putin during the Cold War? Hip deep in the KGB.
Yeah, this is very true. Now, we've mentioned, and Morgan talked about this with that article from the Washington Post editorial board, some of the Democratic backlash the president is now facing. And of course, a lot of folks, these Democrats, are looking ahead to the 2014 midterms. Your dad, Ronald Reagan, of course, was able to attract a lot of Democrats to vote Republican because of his strong stance on foreign policy. Do you think that is the concern when we hear these Democratic voices, at least those who have to run for office, and they speak up, express their concerns about the lack of response from President Obama?
Yeah, I think it's basically going to come down to one thing it always does. What's the economy stupid? And whatever the economy is, that's what it's going to be based on. The economy right now in this country is not doing well at all. You still have 26-year-olds living at home. That's not where they should be living. You have Obamacare that is absolutely imploding everywhere that it is. So I think the issues are still going to come down to the economy and to what's happening actually in the United States of America. Those of us who pay attention to what's going on internationally, we vote on that issue also, but most of the American people are going to vote their pocketbook.
So speaking about voting and going back to what is good for the future of America, you recently wrote an article encouraging Hillary to run, and I wanted to expand a little bit on that for our viewers, your intention of that article.
Oh, yeah, I actually endorsed her. I said I would vote for her in the California primary because you could do that. You switch over in the California primary. Right. Because I want her to run because I don't think she's going to run. What I'm doing is I'm pushing her. Go ahead, run. If the Republican Party does not have a governor out there or anybody else that can beat Hillary Clinton in 2016, we don't even deserve to be a party. So quit fearing Hillary Clinton. She has got a lot of baggage. Hillary Clinton is not Bill Clinton. She is Hillary Clinton. And Hillary Clinton, I think, is unelectable, but I encourage her to run because I think she is the weakest of the Democrats.
Interesting take, and of course, contrary to what a lot of Democrats and a lot of other political pundits would say. But Michael, I want you to keep going on this topic a little bit more. You do not think that Hillary Clinton is going to run for president. Tell us maybe the one, two, and third reason why you think that's going to be the case.
Well, I think her, look at what's going. That's where you have foreign policy play into the game. The fact is, where was she? State Department, Secretary of State. The world is in turmoil. No matter where you look, no matter where she touched, the world is in absolute turmoil. I think ultimately Benghazi is going to come out and bite her even harder in the future as more and more information comes out about it, Benghazi. Where the Republicans are making a mistake on Benghazi is the fact that they keep on going after the security issue. That is not the issue in Benghazi. The issue is the running of guns going through Syria. That was the issue, and the Republicans need to get on the page on that one. And that will help also undermine Hillary Clinton. But again, I think Hillary Clinton, number one, is foreign policy. Number two is foreign policy. Number three, just not likable.
Yeah, and you can kind of already see the campaign ads being made already with that video of Hillary Clinton and the Russian foreign minister pressing the reset button.
Yeah, absolutely right. We're pushing reset buttons, and what's happening? You have the President of the United States and Hillary Clinton drawing lines in the sand, and the only people who won't go over the line is our President and Hillary Clinton.
All right, Michael Reagan, thanks so much for joining us from Los Angeles. And as folks may have heard, there's a slight delay, but we got the conversation done anyway. Great to talk to you, Michael. Have a pleasant weekend.
Thank you very much. You too.
It's always so interesting to hear his take on things.
Yeah, especially, I love the fact you brought up that column that Michael Reagan wrote urging Hillary Clinton to run. You know, there is a lot of discussion as to whether or not she is going to run, but of course, there's also this whole cottage industry already built up. The Hillary support Hillary PACs are already out there, and it's almost like the momentum would not let her step aside and not run in this race.
It was very tongue-in-cheek and kind of humorous. Whether it was meant to be or not, I found it to be quite humorous.
Of course, you can always find Michael's columns on our website, newsmax.com. They're up there all the time. A lot of other great content up there as well. Of course, you can get the latest information there and here on Newsmax TV, on Direct TV channel number 343, and on the Dish Network on channel 223, and many other options as well. Much more to come here on America's Forum as we roll on during our third hour of the day, and more here ahead on Newsmax TV with Midpoint and the Steve Malzberg Show.